So hey guys, hi. So in this one we are going to talk about lifecycle hooks. So before we start with Vue, we should know at least the basics one to get started with it. So how basically it goes from render to unmount stage. So this is what we are going to see one by one. So before we start with any textual thing or any demo which I've prepared for you, what I will do is I will first try to let's see how things works. So let's go with the diagram first. So as you can see, first what it tries to do is it basically tries to render and counters the component. So whenever this things comes to it, that time what it does, it goes to the composition API, and in from the composition API, it basically runs the before create. And if you're using if you're using option API, then option API gets called here. So before the options API, composition API is what it looks for. Okay, and then once we are here, then the after the this APIs are ready, so in between this APIs, this before create happens. So remember guys, create is something which happens very first, even before the mounted. I remember I used to run APIs calls inside the created, and then only I mount my component. So yeah, so this is before create itself. So before it's setting up parsing the JavaScript, I think. Yeah, anyway, so once we have done with the created, like once the APIs are ready, then it goes to created, and then it checks whether we have the precompiled template. So on the DOM, if we don't have the precompiled template with all the reactive data, so it will compile the template on the fly or on the go. uh, and if yes, then it will proceed to the next hooks. So while it's going on, to the what I say on, like to the time where it's basically rendering the component, it first meets the before mount. So in before mount, the reactive data is prepared until here, but the DOM things are not inserted. Then it initially render and creates the insert DOM, and this event happens in mountain state. So all the data are live tagged here. And in mountain state, what happens is whenever the component is changed, that time we can access the updated uh, hooks. So when the data is changed, during that time we access the before update. So in this time we can have some state change, and also we can access the DOM. But once the thing is rendered, once the thing is updated, here is there is a warning which I want to give is don't ever update any state data, else it might cause an infinite loop. Okay, so when the component is unmounted, so this is a handled by Vue automatically whenever you navigate from one state to another. That time before unmount happens and unmount happens. So quite simple, right? Now what I will do is, before I go in one example, I will just try to show a demo and give a small info of it. So as I said, on mountain, this all this hook which you see, all the hooks, if you want to have all the hooks, if I go here, these are the list of hooks. All the hooks except this server prefetch is all they do not run on SSR. Let me repeat, all those hooks except this does not runs on SSR. Only the server prefetch runs on SSR. I've written here it's okay. Now let's talk about unmounted. So as I said, it and remember guys, all the hooks which you define should be in synchronous. It should not be async, else it might cause problems. Anyway, so the mounted, unmounted, as I said, so child components have been mounted and does not include any async. Yeah, so basically it on mount runs when you don't have, like when you have all the components mounted and even the childs. It ignores the one which let's say which is async components and are inside suspense tree. Okay, so anyway, so use performing side effect that need access to the updated rendered DOM, okay, of the component. And what I do is, let's see the one example of it. So what I do is, let's see, I will try to show you all these hooks getting updated. So what I will do is I will try to change something whenever this app renders, right? I will just try to write something here, update. So as you can see, it renders the unmounted whenever the things with the updated value gets updated. This was very lame example, I know. Then on updated, let's see when this on updated happens. So if you see the SFC playground, I go back here, we have only the on mounted here, right? Now as soon as I try to update, the on update renders, and before that on render triggered because it basically rendered re-rendered the component, and once the data is updated it says on updated. So this is also a good thing to learn here. So on update, after the component has updated its DOM tree due to reactive state change. And yeah, so as I said, do not add any state change inside this update hook. And on before mounted, the component has finished setting up its reactive data but no DOM has been created. And similarly to on before update, access the state and DOM before the update has happened, save to mutate the DOM. And this one on triggered and on render tracked, there are two hooks similar to that, this one. So this is all dev only, what I say, hooks. So if they ask, so yeah, this is the dev only render hooks. Then what if I want to show you is on server prefetch. So this is only for the SSR, server side rendering, and it is called before the mount happens. So like before the things are getting prepared. So if I just show you, yeah, so the component is rendered as a part of initial, prefetch the data on its server faster, okay, whatever it is, but it happens on before the mounted. So this is what the server patches, server prefetches. Now what I want to show you is some other examples which I think might have missed. So on mounted I have covered, on updated I have covered. Now let's talk about an error capture. So error capture works whenever, what say, the components which are inside the parent component, in our case example app.view has some error. If I try to give any error here, on captured error is not rendered, right? But if I try to give any of the error inside this, that time if you see, the error capture runs. Now error capture gives you three things. One is the error which you see, and then it gives you the component instance. And if you see, you can access all, you can see what component it was, and you can access other data of the component itself, okay. And then many more slots, watch, and everything you can find here. Anyway, now what I want to talk about, the next parameter is the basically the information which it gives with it. So I think I've closed this. It's a setup function, okay. Let's see, it gives where exactly the problem is. So it tells us, okay, this problem is exactly in the setup function. So this is very useful for debugging. Now let's see another one, that is render triggered. I think I have shown you this already. And this on activated, on activated is, if I show you with the information here, on activated, register a callback after the component instance is inserted into the DOM as a part of tree. So even if I try to get this, I will not be able to get it because it has called after the component instance. It's is inserted into the DOM. I've tried it, I didn't able to find it why this didn't work for me. uh, but yeah, like during all this event we didn't find any on activity, but it happens as it mentions that to be called after the component instance is inserted into the DOM. If you have any example of this, guys, please let me know. I really I want to see of this. I only have the information of this, but yeah, in instances inserted into the DOM. I really don't have any example of this. Yeah, but anyway, this was all about the hooks in a nutshell. If you have any doubts, please feel free to comment below. Let's see in the next video.